Hey Shira, so what I'm going to do is exactly what I did before. I'm actually going to go through and make a grade book, and I might pause a couple of times when I'm going to do something repetitively, but I wanted to show you how this was going to work. So I'm going to go up here to grades. This is in one of my development courses, and I'm going to go to the wizard. I'm going to start. For what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to do weighted. And you're going to want to adjust the final grade because you want the ability to fix any grades or do anything like that at the end. Most people do, at least. If you want to just go ahead and let it calculate the final grade, you can do that as well. But usually the adjusted final grade actually works. The other nice thing is that you get to decide when you release the final grades to students, which usually works really well. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to say treat ungraded items as 0. And you can decide if you want to keep the final grade automatically updated. Some students can freak out because when they don't have any assignments, it'll say they have a 0, and then it all depends on you. I would generally just leave it unchecked, but it depends on your group of students. So I'm just going to keep going. I am going to use the 2 decimal place grade scheme option with plus and minus, and I'm going to display it to 2 decimal points. And so these are choices that, lots of people decide on. Points grade, the weighted grade, the grade scheme color, all of these are what shows to the students. You can also do a color. So the color thing, it shows red for failing. It shows, I forget, blue, I think, for in the A range, and here green, I think, for a B. I think you can also set that. The nice thing about that is for visual people, it really helps. Some professors really love that for just taking a quick look at the class and going, wow, that entire column is red. Something went wrong. Entirely up to you if you want to do that or not. People have used it and not used it. So actually, I think what I'll do is I'll actually put it in here so you can see what it looks like. And then we display the final grade calculation to users. This one, I believe, I'm going to check that. Yes, I would check this one. This is the one that tells them how they arrived at the final grade. So it gives them a breakdown of, well, you didn't do well in discussions, so that kind of thing. I think that works really well. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to finish. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new grade category. And for you, I'm going to start with week 1 discussions. And I'm going to distribute weight evenly across all items. And I am going to drop 1 of the lowest non-bonus items. And the weight, this is where it gets interesting. So if you have 8 weeks, let me pause while I do some math. Okay, so I'm back having done the calculations. I just want to say thank you for making that something divisible by 8. So each of these weekly discussions will be worth 5% of the grade because in total over the 8 weeks it should be 40%. So we're going to go with that. I might not be correct in that because I haven't checked your class. So if you have more than 8 discussions, then we might have to revisit that. But at the moment, it's at 5%. How nice is that? So we're going to save and close. And then I'm going to pause again because then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and make all of your discussion weeks. So for that briefest of pauses for you, slightly longer for me, I've done a few more things in here, so I want to show you what I've done. I've got week 1, question 1, 2, and 3 responses, and they're all connected to discussions in the actual discussion area. So I'll show you where I go. So these are all attached, and what I've done in each of these topics is I've gone into the assessment area, and I connected the grade item with the grade item in the grade book. Now, when you do the score out of, in this case, you can make this whatever you want to. It'll translate it into the grade book. So if, for example, this was 20 points in the grade book, but it was 10 here, if I gave a 5 out of 10, this is what it'll show you when you're grading it. And then the grade book can translate it if you want. You probably just want to make it the same. So I made both of them 10 just for ease of use. So I can save and close that. And then when I go to grades, I want to show you how you create those things, these little items, and put them underneath these. So I'm going to do a new grade item. We're going to work on the week 3 discussions. And so here we're going to go to numeric. We are going to do week 3, question 1, and put it in the week 3 discussions. I've just been making them 10 points. You can make them whatever you want. And save and close. And now it appears right here underneath and does the whole weight for me and everything else. And I'll do a new item, numeric, which is going to take its time. Week 3, question 2, same thing, add it to the week 3 discussion category, and then the weight goes back down to 50 because now I have 2 items. So I'm going to save and close. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to have a couple people in the office actually go in and post some really random responses, and then I'm going to show you how to grade them so that you'll get an idea of how the gradebook would work based on this model. And yet again, after a pause, which is no pause to you, I'm sure this is going to end up to be the weirdest video. I apologize. So I've done these three weeks, and now I want to show you what it would look like to actually grade them, because I've had a couple of my office mates go in and actually put some discussions in. So I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to go to Enter Grades, because this is one way that you can assess these things. So you can go here, you can click Grade All, and they will appear like this. And then you can click Submission, and it'll show up here. And then you can come up here and grade the score. Let's see what she said. You say, this is a question. The question said, this is a question, and she says, you say this is a question, but I do not see a question mark. She is, yes, also, when is this due? Do I get an A? I'm going to give her an A. And I also have to click the Publish button. So I'm going to just save that. I am sure. Okay, so that's that, and now you'll notice that it's turned color. Now it's green, which is the A. I thought it was blue, but I was wrong. And now I could go ahead and do Tiska's version. Now you can do it that way. I'm going to save and close. But I'm also going to go here. You can also just do exactly that same thing by clicking these little bubbles. So I can click here. Her answer was blah. I'm going to give that an 8. And I'm going to click that as published. And I'm going to click save. It's always going to ask you if you want to override it, even though there's nothing in there, because they want you to make double and triple sure that you're not overriding something that you are hoping is still going to be there. So that's one way of grading discussions. Now the other thing you'll notice is over here on the question 3 response, it's got this little exclamation point, and that means that it's been dropped. So now if we go back, I want to show you the other way that you can grade discussions. Because since these are linked, I'm going to go to the discussions area, and then I can assess the topic from right here. I did question 1 in the gradebook, and now I'm going to do it this way. This is basically the exact same look, only it's in a different place. So if this actually might work better, though, if you're going to do that thing where it's due at 10 p.m. on a certain night, you can just come into here really fast and just see the list of students who have actually accomplished the task. That might be helpful. So I'm just going to go into this topic score. I'm going to give Tiska a 9. Always have to click the publish button or the students cannot see it. Cannot tell you how many times I've done that myself, so I'm just going to say it to you many times during this little video because I always forget. And I will go in here and I will give Amy a 10 because she's my friend and she also will yell at me if I don't give her an A. So. And it's also irrelevantly silly. So I'm going to click save and close. I'm going to overwrite that and save and close again. And now question 3, I'm going to show you as well. I'm pretty sure that I can assess from here. Now, I have to still go into assess topic, but there is another way of doing it, which is where you go to assessment tab, and then you can click their names, and yet again, we're going to get this. We're going to get very silly responses from me. So, sloths always get 10s. I'm going to publish that, save and close, overwrite, And that's how that would work. So it's entirely up to you how you want to do this. I'm going to show you what it looks like in the grade book when I'm going to give Tiska a 5 on this one because I want you to see what happens when it gets graded. So let's go to grades and enter grades. And now you can see, okay, so Amy got 3 10s, but the last 10 was dropped. Tiska got an 8, a 9, and a 5, and the 5 was dropped, and the 8 and the 9 stay. So she ends up with a 4.25 out of 5 because of percentage-wise, because that category is worth 5%. Hopefully that's good. That makes sense. This is all the math that it's doing in the background for you. So if we go to manage grades, what it would look like is you would have 8 weeks of discussion set up with each of these responses in there. I think that's probably easiest. What I'd also do is make a category for discussion responses. But in this case, instead of, I manually I distribute the weight. But then what I would do in this one is I would just do week 1 discussion responses or whatever title you wanted to give it, and then stick it in there. Oh, I made it the wrong weight, but I think you know what I mean. And I think you were going to do a 5-point scale once we talked about that. So I'm going to do a 5-point scale there. And then you would just have the 8 weeks there. And then so the discussions would be their own categories. And then the discussion responses would be a separate category. See if that makes sense to you. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to add you as an instructor to this course. And I'm going to go in and respond to the discussions. And when I do that, you are welcome to try grading my responses however you wish. Trying the grades or from discussions, either way. Okay, I hope that's helpful, and I hope it actually does something for you. Okay, bye.